Welcome to the Michael Welch podcast. Today, we're going to look at the brackets for the Power Five teams as their conference championship tournaments are about to start here. We have some champions from the smaller conferences that have already been crowned, some auto bids that have already been grabbed. We have some more upcoming tonight and throughout the week as we take a quick peek at the layouts heading towards Selection Sunday. Couple house cleaning notes. There are 32 conferences in Division I of NCAA basketball. There are 10 in football, so it's obviously a big jump there. For the 363 teams, nearly triple what there is in football. And out of the 68 team bracket, then 32 auto bids, and about 25 conferences will only get one team in. So you've got your Power Five, your Big Ten, your SEC, your Big 12, your ACC, your Pac 12. That'll all get multiple teams in, as will the Big East, which is largely considered the sixth Power Five school of the college basketball world. And then the Mountain West and the WCC, maybe the Americans should get multiple teams in as well. That's not uncommon. The A10 is another conference that usually gets multiple teams in, the Atlantic 10 Conference. They have struggled a lot this year. That's going to be a one bid league from the looks of it. And again, if you're a team that wins your regular season conference championship or as a co-champ, you do great in the 18 to 20 games you play for your conference championship in the regular season, but you don't win the tournament at the end of the year. You slip up once and you lose, then you're probably not going to the NCAA tournament. And that's a real possibility for, again, like 24, 25 of the conferences out of the 32. So that's why the stakes are so high. So let's run through a few of the championships, a few of the auto bids that have been decided already, and what we have left real quick here heading into the week, with Selection Sunday being this upcoming Sunday. In the Southern Conference, the number one seed Furman Paladins, I believe they are, Purple Paladins, held off number 7 Chattanooga 88-79. This was actually one of the closer games that we've had so far in the finals. Furman was co-champions with Samford in the regular season, but Furman rode a nice winning streak into the tournament and grabbed the regular season co-championship and then the auto bid. They're currently projected as a 14 seed in the tournament. They're actually in the top 100 of Ken Palm's ranking, sitting at number 90 right now. Of course, that could change with a lot of basketball to come this upcoming week, but one of the better, not even mid-major teams, lower conference teams. In the Sun Belt, South Alabama was the 8th seed. They had a three-pointer pop out of the basket in their championship game, and the second seed, Louisiana, hung on to win there. The number 1, Southern Mississippi, won the regular season by one game. They were knocked off in the tournament. They might have had a shot to be an at-large at one point. Just the metrics are not there in the Sun Belt Conference. Of course, that's a football league, one of the 10 conferences in Division I football, but it's just not as strong in basketball. So 1 and 2 seeds are pretty close there, largely, and Louisiana, one of the top teams there, they end up surviving a feisty Jaguars team in South Alabama and making it into the NCAA tournament there, grabbing the auto bid, and they're actually 92nd in Ken Palm's ranking and projected as a 14 seed as well. So another team in there checking in the top 100 as of right now. And the A-Sun, the number 1 seed, Canisia State. They had a record 3,805 students show up for the conference championship game hosted at the home site there. It was the first nationally televised game at the school there. They were up 3 points with the ball and 35 seconds left. The guard was actually driving to possibly go up by 2 scores and hopefully kind of play the free throw game, put the game away there. He lost the ball. On a review, they went back and said that he just lost it on the drive there, and it gave it to Liberty who drilled a three-pointer with 23 seconds left to tie the ball game. Liberty was the 2 seed here, so the top 2 seeds in the ASIN championship game. A foul was called with .7 seconds left as KSU was trying to make the final score of the game. First free throw went down, intentionally missed the second one, so that the clock started on the first touch and ran out the remainder of the time. And KSU wins by 1 point as they capture the ASUN title there. And again, Liberty and KSU were co-champs, I believe, of that one there. So kind of the right 2 seeds, if you will, made it to the championship game, and the number 1 pulled it down. They're projected to be a 14 seed right now. Per ESPN in the bracket there. In the Big Sky, UNC Asheville, they have a 25-7 overall record. They were down in this one, but they did win the conference championship here. A 7-0 run in the final 90 seconds to win by 4 points. The number 7 seed Campbell Fighting Camels made it all the way to the conference championship game, and they nearly had a big upset here. They would have been right at 500 had they won this game and made it into the NCAA tournament. But they can't quite get it done. Drew Pember had 29 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks. They are projected as a 15 seed right now, so kind of a long shot to win anything in the NCAA tournament. But indeed, the highest seed going in, and they win there in the Big Sky. The Missouri Valley. Drake comes away with the win. They were the number 2 seed. They hammered number 1 seed Bradley 77-51. Bradley won the regular season by 1 game. That's why they were the higher seed, although the team split the regular season. So just Bradley winning the best of 3 ultimately there. They're projected to be a 12 seed in the NCAA tournament. They are 63rd in KenPom. Bradley, I believe, was a little bit lower. Drake actually beat Mississippi State in the non-conference. That certainly helped. Overall, they're 4-4 in quad 1 and 2. I think they're 1-1 in quad 1, 3-3 in quad 2. But realistically, Mississippi State was their big calling card there. And KenPom's rankings, they're ahead of Pittsburgh, Wisconsin, Seton Hall, Clemson, all teams that could be in the NCAA tournament as well. So that could be an interesting 12 seed there in the tournament there. The Northeastern Conference. Yes, that is a true conference there, directional. Now, Fairhigh Dickinson is going to win this by default. They play Merrimack for the conference championship on Tuesday, actually. There's only 9 teams in this league. 6 of them finished with overall losing records. FDU was 2 games back in conference play at 10-6, but they had the best overall record at 19-14. They're still ranked in the 300s, and so is Merrimack. I think they're 316. So Fairhigh Dickinson will be a 16 seed in probably the play-in tournament right now, I think is where they're projected, a play-in 16 seed. Merrimack isn't eligible because of a really ridiculous NCAA rule that says they're banned for 4 years while transitioning from Division II to Division I. So they're banned from the NCAA tournament. I believe they were banned from the conference tournament for at least a couple years there as well. So it really just kind of hurts the school and what they're able to accomplish there by default sending your second best representative from the conference. So, and not so sure about that. There have been schools that are punished in the past from various different things, moving from conference to conference and stuff like that. There was it eludes me now. Was it James Madison? There was a team last year from a smaller conference that won the regular season and was favored to win the auto bid. I believe they did as well in the tournament. But the problem was because they were switching conferences, the conference they were leaving was punishing them and said that you can't take the auto bid. We're going to send the runner-up to the tournament. So a lot of weird punishments that go around. Doesn't happen at the Power 5 level, or hasn't at some of these bigger conferences, but whether it's conference or the NCAA kind of punishing these schools that are moving around between conferences or divisions, just seems kind of ridiculous that we're sending the second best representative And I don't know why it's a 4-year ban or a 2-year ban or 1-year ban on different things. Seems kind of ridiculous and just like an arbitrary number. But Merrimack and Fairhigh Dickinson will be playing. If FDU wins on Tuesday, then I guess they belong there anyways. If Merrimack wins, then their season's probably done. So that'll be it for them. The Ohio Valley also has a conference champion. It is Missouri. It is Southeast Missouri State. They were up 7 points with a minute 12 to go. Tennessee Tech came back and scored 8 straight points in 57 seconds. Thanks to great defense and forcing turnovers there. They took a 1-point lead with 15 seconds to go ultimately. SEMCO, I believe is their abbreviation, Southeast Missouri State, gets fouled taking a three-pointer with 3 seconds left and hits all the free throws to take a 2-point lead. Tennessee Tech then heaves a three-quarter inbound pass into right around the, I think it was right around the 3-point line, and it was a turnaround two-pointer that went in to send the game into overtime. So just a back and forth there, a run by Tennessee Tech to cut the score down, and then a back and forth again. Southeast Missouri takes the lead back, and then Tennessee Tech with a big pass with 3 seconds left and a turnaround two to send it to overtime there. And then ultimately in overtime, Southeast Missouri State does win it 89-82. So it's the 5 seed winning 4 games in 4 days that ultimately takes down that tournament. Now, Morehead State was the leader in the OVC. They won the regular season by 3 games. After them, it was bunched up quite a bit. Now, Southeast Missouri State was actually the team that took Morehead State out in the tournament. They'd split the regular season, so ultimately they beat them 2 out of 3 times. It was just this last timely loss that bounced the Morehead State Golden Eagles, I believe. That's what the mascot is there. Bounced them out of the tournament. So it's very, very unfortunate for Morehead State there. And this team is 258th in KenPom. They're probably a 16 seed play-in. So this is one of the big upsets in the little tournaments so far is the Missouri State. I think they're the Cardinals pulling in and stealing an auto bid here. So on Tuesday, as you should be listening to this here, we have 5 championship games that'll be decided. Four more champions, I should say, because Merrimack and Fairhigh Dickinson will be playing in the Northeast Championship. The Horizon League will be 1 bid. I don't quite have the participants yet. Northern Kentucky just knocked off the number 1 seed there, Youngstown State. But the Horizon League will be 1 bid. Whoever wins it will be in. That's it. Youngstown State did win that by a couple games, but they got upset. So tough for them there. The CAA will be between UNC Wilmington and Charleston. Just went down. They were the number 1 seed there. They could be an at-large bid possibly, depending on how the rest of the tournament shake out. They were ranked in the top 25 of the AP poll at one point. Still in the top 100, certainly, of KenPom. But UNC Wilmington upset them, and so we'll have a little bit different matchup there. The WCC will be Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Those teams have split the regular season. They will both be in the NCAA tournament. Gonzaga won the title again for the WCC, but not a high-stakes game ultimately. The Summit League with heavily favorited Oral Roberts, who has a small window to get an at-large bid. If they don't win, that'll be decided as well. I don't quite have the second team. I don't know if that's been decided as I'm recording this yet. They're a projected 12 seed in the tournament at 29-4 at this point. They have road losses to Houston by 38, which is tough, to St. Mary's by 8, to Utah State by 10, and to New Mexico by 7, the last team to lose a game this year. They've beaten everyone else on the schedule, including 18-0 in conference play, plus the tournament wins. So they've rolled everyone else that's in their general playing range here and just lost 4 road games to teams that really outclassed them. And a couple of those were by single digits. So it's a good basketball team here. Max Abmas is averaging 22 points, 4 rebounds, almost 4 assists. Connor Vanover is averaging 12 points, 7 rebounds, over 3 blocks per game. Isaac McBride, almost 12 points on 41% shooting from three, over 41%, almost 42. So that is one of the best teams so far that should hopefully be locking up a bid on Tuesday. So keep an eye on that. So the number one seeds that have lost already, Youngstown State of the Horizon League, that is yet to be sorted yet. Charleston in the the CAA there. Eastern Washington was taking down in the Big Sky Conference. They were 16-2 in conference play. They lost to Northern Arizona, who was 5-13 in conference play. On not a buzzer beater, but a shot in the last couple seconds there. Just a tough loss for Eastern Washington. So a few teams that were expected to be in the NCAA tournament that will not be, other than possibly Charleston with an at-large. So there'll be a few sneaky teams that did not win their conference, but will win their conference tournament coming up here. So just a few notes on those teams. So there'll be other tournaments starting, going throughout the week, obviously. But those are the ones that have wrapped so far and what's going on Tuesday. Now, throughout the week, we'll have the Power Five and Big East as well. So let's jump through those real quick. The ACC is the only one that'll be starting on Tuesday at 2 o'clock with Florida State and Georgia Tech. So we'll have 3 games on Tuesday, and those 6 participants are the anchors that have been weighing down the ACC. Right now, the only locks in that conference for the NCAA tournament are Miami, Duke, and Virginia right now. The highest per KenPom is Duke at 31 right now. That's not good at all. I don't have any teams in the probably safe category. On the bubble are Clemson, Pittsburgh, NC State, and North Carolina, who's one quad one win at the moment, I believe. Not all those teams will make it in. It's been a very rough year for the ACC. Teams like Pittsburgh were competing for the conference championship earlier in the week till they lost to Miami, but they have quad losses in 1, 2, 3, 4 all over the place. Right now, they're the 5 seed in the tournament. They won't play until Wednesday. Clemson has beaten NC State twice. That's given them a little head start there, but they'll be playing NC State in the Friday, the second round, technically quarterfinals, if they get that far. If either of those teams lose, they could be out of the tournament. Again, just a rough showing there. Mike Bray of Notre Dame, of course, is retiring this season, at least from the Irish. He could field other positions, but he will be leaving that school, and he'll be playing the 7 o'clock game on Tuesday. So just a few notes there. Miami is favored in this, I believe, right now. Miami is the number 1 seed, then Virginia, Clemson, and Duke, who all have double byes. So that opening day, you'll get Florida State and Georgia Tech, followed by Boston College and Louisville, and Virginia Tech and Notre Dame, and any of the upper seeds who have lost games in the mix to any of those lower 6 have really hurt their resume, and it's just been a shit show here in the ACC. Syracuse and Wake Forest will play on Thursday, and then Pitt, North Carolina, and NC State will await winners of the previous day matchups. And then, of course, the double bye teams on Thursday. The championship will eventually be played out on Saturday on ESPN. So again, only 3 teams safe there. It'll probably be closer to 5 or 6 teams making it in, but it's been a very rough year for the ACC. Moving on to the Big Ten Conference. And this is another bracket that has 4 teams with double byes: Purdue, Michigan State, Northwestern, and Indiana. Those teams are all going to be locks for the tournament, and Maryland, Illinois, and Iowa should be as well. They'll be playing on Thursday. 2 games will be started on Wednesday, the lower seeds. Wisconsin and Ohio State, and then Minnesota and Nebraska. No teams that should be safe unless you want to count Maryland and Illinois and Iowa in there, but they should be fine. Should have 7 teams in there for sure right now. Rutgers, Michigan, who play each other, are on the bubble, as well as Wisconsin and Penn State. So again, first day, Ohio State and Wisconsin, with Wisconsin being on the bubble, followed by Minnesota and Nebraska. Nebraska's won 5 of 6 games, I believe, coming into the tournament here. They've looked hot late, but it's been a brutal season for Nebraska there. They actually beat Iowa earlier in the week here. Penn State and Illinois will be playing each other on Thursday. That has already been decided. Penn State, still with one of the best point guards in the country, and Jalen Pickett. They'll have an opportunity. They do need to beat Illinois and maybe Northwestern the following day to possibly make it into the NCAA tournament, but they don't have to win the auto bid to necessarily build a resume to make the NCAA tournament. Wisconsin does need to at least wax off Ohio State in the opener. Then they'd play Iowa. Resumes sketchy there, and they haven't won 2 games in a row in 5 or 6 weeks now. It's been tough going for Wisconsin. Michigan and Rutgers are playing each other on Thursday. That could be an elimination game. It's possible that neither team makes it into the NCAA tournament. The winner of that game will play Purdue, who is 4-4 in their last 8 games and is just getting crushed in the second half of games in the past couple months here. So just an interesting bracket. You have no idea who's going to come out and win this tournament at all. But we do know that about the top half of the field is going to be in for sure. And we have a few teams on the bubble. Again, Penn State, Wisconsin, Michigan, Rutgers. It might be one of those 4 making it in. At least one of those 4 should make it in. Let's stick with that. But that'll be one of the most interesting tournaments moving forward. Of course, that's one of the few that ends on Sunday, sometimes running into the selection show if there is an overtime or something like that. So that's the Big Ten tournament that'll start on Wednesday. The Big 12 will start on Wednesday as well, and that runs through Saturday. The first 2 being played on Wednesday are West Virginia and Texas Tech, followed by Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. You don't have any double buys here. Kansas and Texas will play the winner of those games, while Iowa State and Baylor are set for a matchup on Thursday, as well as TCU and Kansas State. Kansas, Texas, Baylor, Kansas State should be locks. Probably safe teams are Iowa State and TCU, although Iowa State was a little bit in question until they won on the road at Baylor this past weekend. On the bubble still are West Virginia and Oklahoma State, both playing in those opening games, so they really need to win there. I guess it's not entirely out of the conversation that any of the teams here could still make the NCAA tournament. If Oklahoma or Texas Tech were to win their first game and pull an upset over Kansas or Texas, which is not unheard of. Remember, Oklahoma beat Alabama, I believe, on the road earlier in the year. Texas Tech has had its fair share of wins as well. All of these teams at one point were ranked in the top 60 of KenPom, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, it's not long ago that all these teams were on the bubble in the past couple of weeks here. So this tournament will not necessarily produce any teams out of left field, but West Virginia, who's been building its resume up, and Oklahoma State, who's been falling back a little bit here on the bubble, and of course seedings for Texas and Kansas. I guess I should mention for the Big Ten, Purdue possibly playing for a 1 seed, probably falling back to the 2. Indiana maybe 2-3 there. So the Big 12 could possibly be looking for 2 number 1 seeds for the NCAA tournament there. The ACC is going to be seeded much lower all the way around. The Pac-12 bracket is one of the nicer few to look at here. The top 4 seeds, UCLA, Arizona, USC, and Oregon, have first round byes, and everyone else matches up nicely to start on Wednesday, and this will play through Saturday. So UCLA, Arizona, and well, those two are the only locks. USC's probably safe, and then Oregon and Arizona State are on the bubble. Washington State's won a whole bunch of games recently. A team that was expected to possibly make possibly win some games this year, and really just had a poor start to the season, poor metrics. They are the 5 seed though, and this bracket is kind of set up for maybe a couple teams to um, get a couple wins. Really, it's going to come down to, can anyone beat UCLA and Arizona, and are the resumes going to be strong enough without any upsets in those two to possibly get in over some bubble teams? Because Washington State, if they knock off a horrid Cal team with 3 wins on the year, they're going to be matched up against Oregon. The winner of that game will presumably play UCLA. So we'll 1 or 2 wins by those teams in the bracket there, without a win over UCLA, be enough to push them into the tournament. It kind of depends on how everything else shakes out outside of this bracket. Arizona will take on the winner of Utah and Stanford. And then USC will take on the winner of Arizona State and Oregon State, which is not a surefire win for the Sun Devils there. But if Arizona State is able to beat Oregon State and USC, but presumably play Arizona. So will a win over Oregon State and USC be enough for Arizona State to make it in? It may not be. It may not be. So it's pretty cut and dried as far as UCLA and Arizona making it in. USC should be safe, and everyone else, kind of depends on how other brackets shake out. Unless someone beats um, Arizona or UCLA, Oregon, Washington State, Arizona State, it may not be enough to make it into the tournament. So this is going to be one of the least exciting kind of moving forward. But that's Wednesday through Saturday for the Pac-12 championship. SEC. Auburn has had a tough time recently. They've lost 8 of 12. Arkansas has lost 3 straight. They're 2 teams that are on the bubble here. The only teams that are locks are Alabama, Tennessee, Texas A&M, who's been in the mix here for a good chunk of the year, and Missouri and Kentucky's played their way in as well. Your top 4 seeds are Alabama, Missouri, Texas A&M, and Kentucky, who have double byes. You have 2 early games that will start on Wednesday, and this is one of the tournaments that will run through Sunday. So Ole Miss and South Carolina and LSU and Georgia will square down on Wednesday in your kind of crap games, followed by Tennessee taking on the winner of South Carolina and Ole Miss on Thursday, and Vanderbilt, who is your 5 seed, taking on the winner of LSU and Georgia. Auburn, Arkansas, again, bubble teams playing each other. And then Florida and Mississippi State, the other kind of bubble team here, will be playing as well. So this is going to be a little bit of an interesting bracket. Alabama might still be playing for a number 1 seed here after the Brandon Miller taking a gun to a shooting incident, which was terribly unfortunate. Arkansas has been loaded with talent this year. They replaced 4 starters and will be sending guys off to the NBA after one and done here. Nick Smith missed a good chunk of the year, and he is back as well, so they can certainly make a run. Vandy's been winning recently, but they lost their big man, Lahan Roberts, and Texas A&M's got some good players as well. There could be a random team that comes out and wins this tournament, but for right now, Alabama, Tennessee, who's missing their starting point guard as well, they're going to have a tough time in this postseason. This and the NCAA tournament as well, both postseason tournaments here. Texas A&M, Missouri, Kentucky, regardless of what happens, they should all be in. Auburn, Arkansas, it's going to be a little bit tough there, so that could be a big game right on Thursday. I believe that's the 7 o'clock game. And then Mississippi State and Florida as well on Thursday. And even Vanderbilt, if they could win a couple games here, it's hard to see them making the way onto the bubble all of a sudden, but they're not too far off of it either. So this is going to be kind of an interesting tournament, both as far as seeding, as far as who could actually win it, as far as playmakers, as far as who could, surprisingly make their their way onto the bubble and into the tournament. So the SEC might be one of the more exciting tournaments to keep an eye on. Let's take a peek at the Big East as far as excitement here. So your locks, I have Marquette, Xavier, Creighton, and UConn. Your probably safe team is Providence, and then Villanova. A lot of bubble talk for Villanova right now. I don't understand. The resume isn't very strong. UConn is favored to win. They're surging. Um, Providence and Seton Hall have fallen off a bit here. Your top seeds, Marquette and Xavier, and Creighton is the 3, and then uh, Connecticut and Providence will be playing each other as the 4-5. This will be running through Saturday. This will be Thursday through Saturday here. So your matchups on Thursday in the first round. So Villanova will get the privilege of playing Georgetown, the worst team in the lower bracket here. So they'll get an opportunity to advance to play Creighton. Seton Hall and DePaul will be playing each other, and the winner will get Xavier. Connecticut and Providence are already set up for Thursday. Butler and St. John's, the winner will be playing Marquette. So it'll be interesting to see who's able to kind of come out of this arrangement. Again, they'll get a handful of teams in here. Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there really is a bubble per se. It kind of looks like Marquette, Xavier, Creighton, UConn, Providence, Seton Hall can maybe play their way in. They'd have to get past, I guess, Xavier and Creighton probably a couple wins there to pad the resume to have any shot without straight up grabbing the auto bid and winning the whole thing. And again, Villanova really doesn't seem to have a shot. So this not as exciting a tournament. Should be good games though. And so that's the Big East tournament there. So Joe Lombardi of ESPN currently has Kansas, Alabama, UCLA, and Houston as the number 1 seeds in his bracket. Of course, that can possibly change. Purdue, Arizona, Baylor, and Texas are the 2 seeds. The 3 seeds are Tennessee, Gonzaga, Kansas State, and Marquette. And the 4 seeds are Xavier, Indiana, UConn, and Virginia. So that's what we're looking at there. So there'll be a lot of fluid movement in those 4, I think, as tournaments go on. It's been a very crazy year, of course, in college basketball. His first 4 in. Oklahoma State's currently on the right side of that, as is Wisconsin, Arizona State, and North Carolina. Of course, losses for any of those teams could very well find them on the other side there. I'm sorry, those are the first 4 out. The next 4 out are Michigan, Charleston, Clemson, and Oregon. Those teams are out. Last 4 in then are Mississippi State, Utah, Rutgers, and Nevada. Some of this is just picking favorites here. Rutgers over Wisconsin and Michigan. Of course, Rutgers and Michigan will be playing head to head. If Michigan beats Rutgers, that doesn't ensure that Michigan will be in, but according to Joe Lombardi's bracket here, that means that probably Rutgers slides out, Michigan would slide in. Last 4 buys, Boise State, NC State, Pittsburgh, and Penn State. So he currently has Penn State in the field as well, presuming that they probably win a game in the Big Ten tournament. Of course, 1 loss probably moves them right out. Pittsburgh and NC State currently in there with North Carolina and Clemson sitting out on the ACC side of things there. And he has 10 teams from the Big Ten making it in. 8 from the SEC, 7 from the Big 12, 5 from the ACC and Big East, 3 from the Pac 12. So only USC, UCLA, and Arizona right now. 3 from the Mountain West, 2 from the WCC, that's Gonzaga and St. Mary's, and 2 from the American Conference as well. So the Big Ten still leading the way. The ACC not far behind, although the strength of that conference can really be argued, with the Big 12 following that up as well. And the strength of that conference has been well talked about for a good chunk of the year. 5 from the ACC. Again, not a very strong conference there as well. That by KenPom metrics has been sitting around the 7th or 8th as far as strength of conference record for a good chunk of the year. So it's actually kind of surprising that he currently has 5 slotted in for that conference right now. But that's currently where we're sitting. It'll change probably even as you're listening to this podcast because it'll change throughout the week. Thank you very much for listening to the Michael Welch podcast, and I'll be back with more college basketball throughout the week.